The rain was falling harder than usual in the city of New Avalon. Neon lights reflected off wet sidewalks as people rushed to get home. Holding umbrellas, coats, or anything they could to stay dry, among them walked Alex Wren, a quiet man with tired eyes and a soaked jacket. He wasn't in a hurry, not anymore. Not since he lost his job 2 weeks ago. The world had kept spinning. But for Alex, time had slowed down. He held a broken umbrella in his hand, one side torn. The metal frame bent like it had been punched by the wind itself. Every time he passed under a street lamp, it flickered slightly. Though he never noticed, Alex turned into a narrow alley he often used as a shortcut. His boots splashing through shallow puddles. The alley was silent. Except for the soft hum of distant traffic and the raindrops tapping against metal pipes. Halfway through, he stopped near a green trash bin. Looked at the broken umbrella and sighed. "It's useless," he whispered, before tossing it in with a dull thud. He turned and continued walking, not knowing that behind him, something moved. The trash bin shifted slightly, though there was no wind, no footsteps, no sound above the alley. Hidden in the shadows, a small blinking light appeared, then disappeared again. Alex walked home, unaware that his simple act had been observed. Back in his small apartment, he made instant noodles and sat near the window. Watching the rain continue to fall, he turned on his old radio, not because he expected to hear anything interesting, but because silence made him feel more alone. Static, then a faint signal, then more static. He leaned closer, curious. A voice. No, just a glitch, maybe. The signal faded and the static returned. He turned it off, shaking his head, then went to sleep on the couch, too tired to make it to the bed that night. His dreams were strange. He saw a forest of metal, a sky filled with stars, and a pair of glowing green eyes watching him. He woke up with a jolt, heart pounding, the rain still whispering outside. The next morning, a city maintenance drone scanned the alley where Alex had tossed the umbrella. Its camera zoomed in on the empty footage from the previous night, showed Alex dropping the umbrella. But then, nothing. No one else approached, no animals, no wind strong enough to blow it away. Still, the umbrella was gone. The drone tagged it as a minor anomaly and uploaded the footage to the city's archive, where thousands of strange events were filed and mostly forgotten, but not this time. Somewhere far above Earth's surface, an old satellite caught a data burst from the city's system. The footage of the missing umbrella was extracted and redirected to a hidden frequency. On the other end, someone or something watched carefully. Meanwhile, Alex decided to clear his head. So he walked to the old scrapyard outside the city. He liked it there. It was quiet, filled with broken things that once had meaning. Much like him, he walked past twisted metal and forgotten machines. Wondering what kind of stories they once held, near the edge of the yard, he noticed something odd. Footprints. Small and deep, leading toward the trees, too small for a child, too spaced out for any regular step. He followed them for a moment, curiosity pushing him forward. But then, the radio in his pocket, yes, the same old one, crackled again. This time, he clearly heard a voice, soft and trembling. "Help, baby." He froze, his breath caught in his throat. The voice wasn't human. He looked around, but saw no one. The radio went silent. The moment gone? Was it interference? A prank? Or something else? He didn't know, but somewhere in the city, an alien mother held her injured child, and in her arms was a broken human umbrella, now glowing softly with strange energy. And for her, it was the only hope left. Far below the streets of New Avalon, deep in the forgotten layers of the city, where light barely reached a quiet breath, stirred the air. Dark tunnels stretched like veins under the ground built long ago, before most people living above were even born. In one of those tunnels, something moved softly, something not from Earth. Her name could not be spoken in human language, but she was a mother, and that word meant the same in every corner of the galaxy. She cradled her child in long, slender arms. Her skin shimmered faintly like polished stone with a strange green glow. The baby was not breathing well, and the air here was too heavy, too sharp for his tiny lungs. Their escape pod had crashed weeks ago after a hidden minefield tore their ship apart as they approached the outer orbit of Earth. She had fled the wreck, carrying her child, searching for any safe place to hide, and now she was out of time. She had found the umbrella by accident, or maybe by fate. Its shape was strange to her, but the material sang with energy. It's not electricity, but something deeper, something living, something ancient. She had wrapped the baby inside it, letting the soft synthetic fabric cover his tiny body like a cocoon. Slowly his breathing had returned, not perfect, but steady. She did not understand how or why this broken human object could help, but she no longer questioned it. She only knew it worked. Above her, the city buzzed, unaware of the life hidden below its foundations. But one human was starting to notice. Alex sat at his desk, staring at the old radio again. He had cleaned it that morning, thinking maybe the strange message had been a dream. But when he turned the dial again, he felt it not sound but a pulse like a heartbeat. He adjusted the antenna and the static faded for a moment. A whisper returned, soft and urgent, like wind in a tunnel, the same voice as before, but clearer. "Danger here, child, not safe." Alex leaned back, confused and a little scared. He looked out his window, watching the clouds roll in again over the skyline. The air felt charged, like something big was coming. He grabbed his jacket and stepped outside, walking without direction, till he reached the alley again. The trash bin was still there. Lid closed, he opened it and stared inside, empty of course. But when he looked at the wall behind it, he noticed something new. Symbols scratched into the brick surface, faint glowing lines in a pattern that looked almost like writing. He reached out and touched one. It pulsed under his fingers, and the radio in his pocket buzzed again. He pulled it out and held it near the wall. The signal grew stronger. He followed it through the alley into the next street, and then into a narrow staircase that led down into the old subway levels. The city had closed them off years ago, but Alex found a broken door and slipped through. As he moved deeper, the light faded, and the noise from the world above disappeared. Only the signal remained. Each step echoed around him like the past, trying to speak, and then he saw it, a faint glow, ahead, soft green like moonlight underwater. He approached slowly, careful not to make a sound. At the end of the tunnel, a shape crouched low over a bundle, something wrapped in cloth. Not cloth, he realized as he stepped closer, but something that used to be an umbrella. It was her. She turned her head and met his eyes, and in that single moment, Alex knew she was not here to harm anyone. She was afraid, she was tired, and most of all, she was trying to protect her child. He raised his hands to show he meant no harm. And the radio crackled again. Her voice came through, broken, but clear enough. "Human help, please, not much time." Alex nodded, unsure of what he could do, but certain now that he had to try. In the darkness of the forgotten city beneath the earth, where stories are buried and secrets sleep, a new story had just begun. And this time, it wasn't just about survival. It was about connection, about trust, about two lives that should never have crossed, now bound by a broken umbrella and a shared hope. The tunnels whispered of things long buried. Voices that had not been heard for 100 years still echoed in the stone. Alex stood in silence, unsure if he had stepped into a dream or a forgotten truth. The alien mother watched him closely, her green eyes glowing like lanterns in the dark. She moved with care, shielding the baby still wrapped in what was once a broken umbrella. It pulsed now with a light not its own. Something inside it had changed. Alex felt it, to a soft hum in the air, like a forgotten melody finally played again. He knelt slowly, placing his old radio on the ground, its signals still strong, still connected to something he did not understand. The alien spoke again through the device, her voice strange but warm. "Not first contact," she said, "not for Earth. "What do you mean, Alex?" asked his voice, barely more than a whisper. She tilted her head and pointed toward the wall. Symbols shimmered under the dirt, old markings carved into stone long before this tunnel was built. They were not human. Alex brushed the dust away, revealing more of the pattern. It stretched along the wall like a message left in panic or prayer, she explained, in broken phrases that Earth had been visited before long ago during a war not of its making. A galactic war where entire planets vanished in fire and silence. Earth had been hidden, protected, not because of power, but because of what humans could become. They were different, not in strength or speed, but in something deeper, a spark, a potential that frightened ancient empires. So Earth was marked and sealed away, off limits, forgotten by choice, but something had broken the seal, and now the past was returning. Alex stood in awe as the weight of her words settled in his mind. All his life, he felt ordinary, unnoticed, just another person in a crowded city. But now he was standing in the middle of something greater than himself. The baby cried softly, and the alien mother pulled him close. Her hands trembling, the air had grown colder, the glow from the umbrella fading slowly. "He is weak," she said, "needs the light from above, cannot survive much longer." Alex looked around the tunnel, unsure what to do. Then an idea sparked in his mind. There was an old train entrance, just a few blocks away, part of the abandoned line that once led to the city's surface. Solar vents. If they could reach it, maybe the baby could breathe better. Maybe the sunlight could help him. He offered his hand, and the alien hesitated, then reached out and placed her palm in his. It felt strange and warm, not like human skin, but not cold either. Together, they moved through the tunnel, the radio guiding them like a beacon above them. The city hummed, unaware of the story unfolding beneath its feet. But they were not alone. In a secret room high above the skyline, a man watched the signal on his monitor, eyes sharp as knives. Director Hale of the Earth Security Division leaned forward, his face unreadable. "Sir, the anomaly has moved," said the agent beside him. "The signal is active again, and stronger." Hale nodded. "Deploy a silent drone track, but do not engage, not yet." He had seen this kind of signal once before, long ago during his first year in command. It had been erased from the files, but he remembered the shape, the frequency, the quiet fear that came with it. Something from the old war was waking up back underground. Alex and the alien reached the rusted gate of the old train tunnel. It groaned as he pushed it open, dust falling like ash. Sunlight filtered through broken vents above, casting golden beams onto the tracks. The baby stirred, reaching toward the light. For the first time, Alex saw him clearly, small, fragile, with thin blue skin and eyes like mirrors. He was not scary, he was beautiful. The mother stepped into the light, letting it fall across her child. He relaxed, his breathing slowed, and a faint smile curled across her lips. But in the distance, a low hum began to rise. A drone. Alex turned quickly, pulling the radio from his pocket. The signal was spiking. "We have to move now," he said, urgency in his voice. The alien nodded, and they slipped into the shadows once more, unaware that they had just triggered a response from something far more dangerous than they knew. And far above, in orbit, something ancient opened its eyes. The morning light cut through the cracks above like blades of gold, piercing the darkness below. Alex led the way through the abandoned tunnel with quick, careful steps, his heart pounding in his chest, louder than the crunch of gravel under his feet. Behind him, the alien mother moved silently, her child held close to her chest, wrapped, ticked tightly in the strange umbrella that no longer looked broken. The baby glowed faintly, pulsing with soft light, as if something inside him had begun to wake. Alex had never believed in destiny, but now every moment felt like it was written in the stars. They reached an old junction, a place where 4 tunnels met like rivers under the city. Alex stopped and checked the radio. The signal still strong, still alive. He had questions, so many questions, but no time to ask them. Still something burned inside him, the need to understand. "Why me?" he asked, without turning around. The mother placed her hand on the tunnel wall, and symbols shimmered again, responding to her touch. "Not chosen," she said, through the radio, "just first to care." Her words sank deep into him, warmer than the light above, stronger than the fear around them. Care. That was it, not knowledge, not power, just simple human care. That was the difference. That was the trigger. Alex knelt beside the child, his eyes scanning the baby's face. The alien skin was smoother now, no longer dry or cracked. The energy from the umbrella was working, keeping the child alive, but just barely. He knew they needed help, more than he could give. But who would believe him? Who would trust an alien mother, a glowing baby, and a story that began with a broken umbrella? Still, he had to try. There was one place left, one person he had avoided for years. Dr. Alara Voss, a scientist turned outcast after she claimed humanity had alien roots. People called her crazy, the government erased her research, but Alex had listened once long ago, when his sister got sick. Alara had helped her when no one else could. She lived near the edge of the city under the shadow of the old observatory. A place forgotten by most, but not by those who still searched the stars. Alex turned to the mother and pointed upward. "We go to her. He said she can help." She studied his face for a long moment, then gave a slow nod. Far above the city, a drone hovered silently, its black shell hidden against the gray clouds. Inside the Earth's Security Division, Director Hale watched the feed from its camera. He saw the alien, saw the child, saw the umbrella now glowing. Like a living thing, he said nothing, but his fingers tapped against the console in steady rhythm. "Initiate silent capture," he ordered. "No harm, unless provoked, and bring the human, too." Back in the tunnels, Alex and the mother reached a service ladder leading up to a forgotten metro station covered in rust and vines. They climbed slowly, careful not to make noise, though something in the air told them they were already being watched. When they emerged into the daylight, it felt like entering another world. The noise of the city returned, horns, voices, airships above. The sky thick with light and shadow. No one noticed them, not really. People never looked too closely at what they did not understand. They reached the old observatory just before sunset. The building cracked, and leaning like an old man, dreaming of better days. Alex knocked 3 times on the steel door, then waited. A slot opened, and 2 sharp eyes stared out. "Go away," said the voice inside. "Unless you brought proof the stars are listening again." "I did," Alex said, and stepped aside. The alien mother stepped forward, her child glowing in her arms. Silence. Then the door creaked open inside the observatory. The lights flickered on, revealing dust, old machines, and one woman standing tall, with silver hair and steady hands. Dr. Voss looked at the mother, then at Alex, and then back at the child. "You brought me a miracle," she said. "Or a warning, maybe." Both the baby opened his eyes, and for a second, Alara Voss saw the past, the future, and the storm that was coming. "We need to work fast," she said, "because they are already on their way." Outside, across the rooftops, silent shadows moved closer. The walls of the observatory shook faintly as the storm gathered above, not of thunder, not of rain, but of something colder and built by machines. Inside, Alara moved quickly, sweeping dust from an old metal table, placing the child on it gently. Her hands calm, but her eyes sharp with urgency. Alex stood near the window, watching the skyline scan with dread. The kind of dread that grows in silence when you know you are being watched, but cannot see by who. The alien mother stood still like a statue, only her eyes moving between her baby and the strange human tools surrounding them. The lights inside flickered as Alara powered up a forgotten device, something from before her time, something not built on Earth, but discovered in its soil. She pressed her palm against the scanner, and it whirred to life, casting blue rings across the table. The baby reacted, eyes blinking softly, body twitching with small jerks as the energy touched his skin. Alex stepped forward, Is he in pain? He asked, his voice dry like old paper. No, Alara replied, he is waking up more than his body, more than his mind. Something deeper, something ancestral. The mother reached out and touched her son. A soft light spread from her hand and mixed with the machine glow, pulsing brighter with each second. Alara turned toward Alex and spoke lower now, eyes wide with something between fear and wonder. This child is not ordinary. He is a beacon, a call to others. His presence will not remain hidden much longer. Alex nodded, already knowing the truth in her words. He had felt it from the moment the umbrella vanished from the bin, from the moment the signal touched his radio outside in the streets below. Silent drones hovered just out of sight, waiting for orders like wolves in the dark, sniffing for weakness. Director Hale watched from the command center, his face lit by a dozen screens, all showing the same image, a glowing child held between worlds. Prepare to engage, he ordered, but do not fire, unless provoked. Repeat, do not fire. Back in the observatory, the machines hummed louder, and then stopped suddenly. The silence sharper than before. He is stable. For now, Alara said. But his energy is attracting something I do not recognize. Not human, not machine. Something older. The Manaza looked up, her eyes glowing brighter, her voice flowed through the radio. Alex carried warning in her tone. They are coming too soon, not ready yet, not safe. Alex knew what they had to do. They could not stay, not here, not in the city, not with eyes everywhere we move, he said. We find a path underground. There is a way through the old industrial tunnels. It leads to the cliffs by the ocean. Alara hesitated, then nodded, gathering small tools and a backpack filled with old tech and data. Crystals. The mother wrapped her child again, the umbrella now pulsing like a living heart, softer, warmer, as if the object had accepted its purpose. They left through the back exit of the observatory, stepping into a world that no longer felt like home. Each corner, each rooftop, each glint of metal might be a threat. They moved fast, sticking to shadows, cutting through alleys, slipping past motion sensors and old cameras. Alex led the way, Alara close behind, and the mother in the center, carrying the light of two worlds in her arms. But speed was not enough. From above, a shape descended, sleek black wings unfolding without sound, engines silent as night. The drones scanned them instantly, targeting but holding fire, just watching, recording. Alex stopped, arms raised, but the drone did not speak, did not move, did not leave. It was not alone. Behind them, more drones appeared, forming a wall of quiet steel eyes glowing red with hidden commands. They are surrounding us, Alara whispered. We have seconds, not minutes. Alex looked at the baby, saw the glow fading, saw the breath struggling again. He stepped forward, holding the radio, high voice steady. He needs light, he needs safety, and if you are human at all, you will let us pass. Silence. Then from the baby, a pulse of light burst outward, not violent, not loud, but deep, reaching through the machines like a forgotten song. The drones paused, flickered, then powered down, dropping gently to the ground without a sound. The path was open again, but for how long none of them knew. Alex looked at the others and said one word, run. Their feet pounded against steel and dirt as the tunnels narrowed and the light behind them faded to shadow. Alex ran with fire, and his chest, not from fear, but from something heavier, a feeling he could not name but could not ignore. The alien mother moved beside him, holding her baby close, the glowing umbrella pulsing faintly like a heartbeat slowing down. Alara followed last, clutching a small device that clicked with every step, reading energy patterns no human tech had ever recorded. They turned corner after corner, deeper into the underground paths once used by workers, now forgotten by the city above. We are close, Alex said, though none of them knew exactly where close was, only that it had to be forward, not back. The baby stirred, his tiny eyes flickering open, his skin shimmering with weak light. He is slipping again, Alara said, her voice sharp like broken glass. He cannot hold much longer. The energy is draining. Alex stopped beside a rusted power station, old cables crawling across the walls like vines, reaching for purpose. What if we give it power? He asked. Not the umbrella, the boy. What if we give him us? Alara stared at him, not confused but stunned, as if he had spoken something ancient and true. You do not know what you are offering, she said. You could die. Maybe, Alex replied. Maybe not. Maybe he lives, and I find out why I was pulled into this. Maybe it matters. The mother stepped forward, her eyes meeting his, her voice soft through the radio. Human light, different from ours, pure and wild, not meant for machines. But for hearts. Alex sat down on the floor, took a breath, and held out his hand. Place him here, he said quietly. The mother laid the child into Alex's arms, and immediately the light between them grew stronger, the umbrella glowing brighter, its pulse sinking with Alex's chest. His body jerked once, then steadied the baby's breathing calmed. The energy flowed between them like water finding its path. Alara scanned the readings, and her voice trembled. It is real, the humanity trigger. I thought it was a theory, a story, but it is real. In her old research, Alara had once written that humans were different not because of invention, not because of strength, but because of choice. The ability to choose hope, to risk without logic, to love without reason. And when that choice was made fully, without fear, it released something unseen, something sacred, the trigger, and now it was happening. Right before her eyes, in a broken tunnel beneath a sleeping city with no one watching but the universe itself. Outside the tunnels, the sky cracked with lightning, not from weather, but from the breach. In orbit above Earth, a ship the size of a mountain opened its wings, dark metal, unfolding like ancient armor. It had waited for the signal. The one thing it feared, more than war, more than death. The humanity trigger had been activated, and now it could not be ignored. Back underground, Alex's body was shaking, sweat pouring from his face, eyes closed but glowing faintly. He saw memories that were not his stars, dying children crying, metal screaming across the void. He saw hands reaching out and voices calling, not in words but in meaning, and at the center of it all, he saw the baby alive and smiling, reaching up with tiny fingers toward a sky full of possibility. Then silence, the glow faded slowly, the air softened. The baby opened his eyes, fully awake, no longer weak, no longer afraid. The mother cried, a bloody sound like wind through crystal light and music woven into one. She held Alex, who had collapsed beside her, barely breathing. He is alive, Alara said. Barely. She reached for her bag, pulled out a healing patch, placed it on his chest. You gave him everything, she whispered to Alex, and now, maybe he will give it back. As the light returned to the baby's body, a wave of warmth spread through the tunnel, soft and wide, like dawn breaking through storm clouds. The signal had changed, no longer a call for help, but an invitation. Above the earth, the ship paused, then turned slowly, not away, but toward the one planet that had once been silent, now awake again. The sky would no longer be still. The morning sky above New Avalon burned with colors not born of sunrise. Streaks of violet, gold, and fire laced the clouds like veins, opening to a living sky. People stepped onto balconies, into streets, into rooftops, gazing upward, their voices hushed, their devices frozen, their thoughts pulled to something ancient, something calling. The ship was visible now, not as a threat, but as a presence. Its massive body moved with grace, not force, casting no shadow despite its size. As if the light itself bent to let it pass below in the tunnels, Alex woke with breath shallow and mind full of stars. He opened his eyes to find the alien mother kneeling beside him, her baby resting peacefully against her shoulder, the umbrella folded like a flower between them. Alara sat close, her face etched with awe and relief, her old device resting silent, now its work complete. Alex tried to speak, but the mother placed a hand on his chest and nodded slowly, her gesture filled with gratitude. With peace, He smiled and sat up. Slowly, pain dancing across his body like old fire. Not cruel, but honest. "Did it work?" he asked, his voice cracked but steady. Alara nodded yes, and more than we ever dreamed. The mother stood holding her child, who now glowed with a steady light, soft and warm. No longer fading, but rising he is. The first, Alara said, the first of his kind to touch the core of a human soul and survive, and maybe even change. They stepped out of the tunnel together into the soft light of morning. The observatory far behind them, the world ahead. As they reached the cliffs near the ocean, wind swept across their faces, carrying the scent of salt and sky and something new. Far above, the ship hovered like a waiting question, not demanding, not forcing, only watching, only listening. The mother raised her child, and the umbrella unfolded once more, its pieces spinning gently in the air, forming a shape not like before, but like wings. Alex watched as the energy swirled around them, a soft pulse reaching from the child to the ship, a conversation. Without words, only feeling, a beam of silver light descended and wrapped the mother and child in a soft spiral, lifting them gently into the air, not pulling, not taking, but welcoming. She looked down at Alex's eyes, glowing brighter than ever, and through the radio her voice came one last time. "Because of you, the door is open." The child reached out one hand, and Alex felt something deep within him shift, not in pain, not in fear, but in understanding. The kind that comes once in a lifetime, if ever. Then they were gone, drawn into the light, like leaves carried by wind, silent and graceful. The ship waited a moment longer, then slowly ascended, disappearing into the morning sky, leaving behind only silence and the sound of the sea. Alara stood beside Alex's, eyes wet but smiling. "What now?" she asked quietly. Alex looked at the place where the light had vanished, then toward the city in the distance, towers rising, clouds drifting, people awakening to a changed world. "Now we tell the truth," he said. "Now we prepare. Because they will return not as invaders, not as enemies, but as something else entirely." He picked up the folded umbrella, now lifeless, just fabric and metal, and yet holding memory. He held it like a relic, not of war, but of peace. Weeks passed, the skies remained clear, and life moved forward. But stories spread, whispers of a light in the sky, a ship made of silence and wonder, a man who carried a child of the stars, and an umbrella that saved the world. Without anyone noticing, Alex returned to the alley, where it all began, standing near the same green trash bin. He looked down and saw another umbrella lying beside it. This one whole, this one untouched by fate. He picked it up, held it in his hands, and smiled. Then he walked away. Not because he had thrown something away, but because he had learned what it meant to carry something forward.